I always look at the law like a bit of a game. It's like chess. All of these different products being released into the market, prediction market, decentralized exchanges, lending protocols. We're trying to manage risks for a lot of these projects and clients.
Breaking news.
Changpeng Zhao is expected to plead guilty.
Any crazy cases? Because I feel like in crypto, especially with a couple years ago, with everything happening with the FTX and all that.
There was an attempted coup at the foundation level.
Breaking news is out. This attempted coup.
An attempted coup.
Another attempted coup.
So there's 5 directors of the foundation, and 2 wanted to essentially overthrow the majority, the other 3. It's super complicated. Proceeding was heard in Europe. We were fortunate to get a really good result. One thing, like especially in the litigation side, something that always comes up is, can the courts compel that individual or company to be present in front of the court? Can the court actually hear this matter?
How many people did you start with?
I started Gosai Law in August of 2022. I started there on the Gold Coast, dining room table, by myself. To now we have almost 20 staff, fantastic caliber of individuals on our team, ex-SEC examiners, ex-financial crimes prosecutors, award-winning lawyers.
What's next for you? What are you excited about this upcoming year and stuff?
There's no other law firm of crypto that has this multi-jurisdictional presence. We're building something where a founder can just come to us and go, hey, we need legal help. Cool. You have the benefit of myself and a team around the world that will have your back and will support you globally.
Yo, dude, welcome to the Chinsanity Show.
Thank you.
Yeah, how are you been, man? How's it been? I feel like it's only been a month and a half since I last saw you.
In Abu Dhabi, right?
Yeah, but since you seem like you've been traveling around the world, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's been a busy start to 2026, which has been great. But I was over in the US, in New York with our US team there, catching up, seeing what the landscape is for crypto for this year over there. And then had a bit of a stopover in Iceland for the weekend and over to London with our UK team as well. So great to see the contrast between US and UK so early on in the year. Stopped over in Milan, catch up with some clients, and then back in Oz for less than a week, and now here in Hong Kong. So been a whirlwind. But definitely great to be here. And thank you so much as well.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like your team is pretty much global, right? Everywhere and stuff like that. And, maybe for my audience who are new to what you do and stuff like that, right? Yeah. So you're pretty much like a crypto lawyer, right? Am I? Yeah. And then you pretty much, I guess, help projects from around the world, right? You said US, UK. So I'm just curious, like, what does a day in a life of a crypto lawyer look like?
I think it's a bit hectic. And I say that because there's so many external factors that go into legal practice, and especially in this area as well, whether it's new regulations, whether it's the market pressures, investments, new tokens being released. So there's a lot that goes on. What does a day in a life look like? I think it's not as glamorous as what you see on TV. If you look at suits, Lambos,
Rolex.
That's it. I mean, I wish. So it's not as glamorous, but I think it's very client-based and client-centric. It's a lot of problem solving. I think it's a lot of trying to adapt to new regulations, new movements in the industry, trying to form a path in such a novel area of law as well, because I would say globally, a lot of the regulations are quite gray, right? I mean, we came from a space, I'd say when this all started to hype up, probably 2018, around then is when mainstream adoption occurred. So we came from a space where we had new technologies, new innovations, but the legal and regulatory space didn't catch up. Like governments had no idea what was going on. So we're trying to forge new law in this industry. So a lot of the day is trying to deal with new product releases, where there's like prediction markets, right, on crypto, or decentralized exchanges, decentralized swaps, lending protocols. We've got OTC desks, all of these different products being released into the market, but there's no laws. There's no black and white to say prediction markets are a goer or they're not. So we're trying to manage risks for a lot of these projects and clients to go, look, this is what the lay of the land at the moment. If you do this or you release this product or service, here are the risks, right? Like we can try and mitigate it this way, we can try offshore it, or we can try change the product and service so it falls outside the regulatory bounds of what we know today. But in saying that, everything's going to change.
Yeah.
So, I mean, long-winded way is like days hectic, right?
Exactly.
Like it's
Do you feel like it's way more exciting than like a normal lawyer, like a regular lawyer? Or
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, like, what's the alternative? Back at the start of my career, I did body corporate and strata law. I was corporate commercial, but and financial services. But, we were dealing with apartment buildings, condominiums, owners, the disputes that were occurring there. I'm like, shit, like we're sitting behind a desk dealing with like someone's dog barking or someone's parked in an area where someone's unhappy because they parked in common property.
They sue them or something.
Yeah, exactly. Or like I was a chairman of a body corporate before, and the people in the committee, I mean, they're all, forgive me for saying this, but they're all like old. They have nothing better to do, right? And they're complaining because the caretaker cut the bushes instead of 40 centimeters high, they cut it 30 centimeters. And they're like, oh, it's a breach of contract because they cut this. And I go, fuck, there's nothing worse than sitting there talking about cutting bushes or parking or dogs barking. And this is exciting, right?
Yeah.
And this is such an interesting area that keeps you on your toes. And it's fun. Like you get to meet cool people that are doing, pushing the boundaries of what technology and finance and these industries provide. I think there's nothing better.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah. What kind of like companies do you guys represent? Like you mentioned some of the industries, but I'm curious, and maybe people in the audience are curious, what constitutes as a crypto company and stuff like that?
It's an interesting question. So we deal with a lot of, I'd say top 80, top 100 cryptocurrencies by market cap and the entities behind that. So whether it's the foundation behind it, whether it's the operating company, we deal with a lot of exchanges, OTC desks, OTC providers. We have product issuers, DeFi. Then we sort of get into the Web 2 side of things too. So software development firms, traditional services companies, product releases. So it's quite wide. I think there's a bit of a misconception and misnomer where people think just because a token's been released, it's fully decentralized, it's crypto, there's no one behind it, right? But there's always a team that's issuing the smart contract or the product or service, right? Releasing new updates to, the interface at the front. And that team will have corporate and commercial arrangements as well. So whether it's contracts internally with employees or contractors, regulatory filings, licensing, partnerships, marketing, sponsorships, there's a whole bunch of legal issues that fall with that, even if there's disputes, right? So something goes wrong, they need to institute proceedings. There's always a core team behind. So those are sort of the companies that we deal with, but it's quite broad.
Pretty broad and stuff like that. Yeah.
Anything that touches crypto and any of these products being released, there's always an entity or there's always someone behind it. And we're advising them on a whole range of issues from, corporate structuring, contracts, licensing, regulatory matters, all the way through to litigation disputes as well.
Yeah. Any crazy cases that you can share maybe that recently or something? Because I feel like in crypto, especially with couple years ago with everything happening with the FTX and all that. Yeah.
Some of the craziest ones. I'd say crazy, but also complex. One thing with crypto, what we find is a lot of the teams that are running the projects are so decentralized and they're global, right? We had this issue, we're acting for a foundation of a very well-known and well-established project where there was an attempted coup at the foundation level. So there's 5 directors of the foundation, and 2 wanted to essentially create a competing product and overthrow the majority, the other 3, and essentially take control of the treasury, take control of the partnerships, the listings that they had. And they had Binance listings, and they were quite well known. So we acted for the 3, the majority in that. And, it's super complicated because you had the founders and the directors based in Australia, US, Canada, Netherlands, It's just broad everywhere, right? And
yeah, how does that work? Because different countries, different jurisdictions and stuff like that, and laws.
Yeah. So that's why this area is it's fun to practice in, but it's so complicated too, because with a decentralized team, and one thing, like especially in the litigation side, one of the points you mentioned, jurisdiction, something that always comes up is whether the courts actually has jurisdiction over the people or the dispute as well. So can the courts compel that individual or company to be present in front of the court, and can the court actually hear this matter? So with such a decentralized team, and this proceeding was heard in Europe, the time zones, the complexities, the legal issues, the subsidiary companies, the contracts at play, the allegations, extremely complex, extremely technical. I mean, we were fortunate to get a really good result in that matter as well. But, I think the other thing to be mindful of in this space is because it's so technical and complex, it's also very costly, right? Like there's the propensity in this industry to make immense and tremendous amounts of money, right? Especially if you do your project and tokens right. But at the same time, when something goes wrong, it is going to be extremely costly because the courts, the regulators, the opposing counsel might not have as well of an understanding of this area and technicalities than someone that's been in this industry for a very long time too.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like you said, like crypto, people in the crypto industry literally are global, right?
Yeah.
And all the companies and employees, they work in. I mean, there is a headquarter in a way legally, but like literally everyone's everywhere, right? It's like. I mean, I could see like it's easy for criminality, right? Like, for example, like during FTX, right? He was actually they were here in Hong Kong, and then they went to the Bahamas, which is already sketch.
Yeah.
And then everything happened, and yeah, that is crazy. I mean, no wonder you travel so much then, huh? Then is that why kind of?
Yeah, I mean, I think in this industry you have to be in it too, right? And the difference is, I think with a lot of lawyers and law firms, they're very good at having this persona of, we're the experts in this area. You come to us. We sit behind the desk, right? We're in our offices, all high and mighty. You come to us if you have legal issues, we'll solve it, right? But I think with my background experience and my history, like in the sector, but also just generally, one thing I've learned is like, you kind of have to be in it, right? Like in this sector, you want to be a builder. You want to be a founder. You want to make sure you can talk the same language. You can relate to the actual clients as well, because again, we're not dealing with, in most instances, we're not dealing with like major financial institutions that are coming on chain, although that's happening now in recent years. Since, 2018 or so, it's been those innovators and those pushing the boundaries, trying to challenge the norm. And it doesn't necessarily marry up 100% to, those big international law firms. So, I mean, it comes back to the travel. Like for me, I think it's important that we're with the clients too. We're here at the events and conferences. We're meeting people. We're at the coalface because we actually understand what's going on. If we were just sitting, in our offices and just waiting for people to come to us, we're not actually hearing the developments on the ground. And I think that's so important when we're providing context around the advice that we're giving too, because if we're advising in isolation, that's one thing. And that's just very much like, what does the law say? It's black and white. You can or you can't do this. But I think in this space, the law is one side, but risk management and appetite is another side.
Yeah.
And that's always going to be influenced by what's happening in the industry, which you get a flavor of when you're at these conferences and you're actually talking to people. So travel is, very big. I think last year, and I say this being in Australia, and Australia is so far away from everything. So I think
that time zone, I have no idea how you guys work in
it's
crypto.
time zone, but I mean, to fly anywhere, it's going to take, to Hong Kong here was like nearly 8-9 hours. Okay. When I went to New York a couple of weeks ago, it was like 38 hours or something. So I think I took like 65 something flights last year.
Jeez.
I was on a plane like every week or every 2 weeks, I was
Wow.
somewhere, like whether it's catching up with our US team or our UK team, some of our guys in Europe, visiting Middle East office, traveling around Australia, conferences, events, meetings. It gets pretty hectic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, I love it. I mean, it's a bit draining at times and you get that from just being on the go. But having conversations like this, like, catching up with friends or meeting people, clients, potential clients, again, there's an energy that you get to that, which you don't get in many other industries.
That's true. Especially working in law, because I feel like, at least, I have some friends working in law firms. It's very straightforward, old money and stuff like that. But for you, you're a lawyer, but you're like a DJ and you have to be, like you said.
You have to be,
traveling around the world, dealing with things. And also, that's one thing actually I was curious to ask you. As of recording this, right, recently on crypto Twitter, there's been a lot of drama with Binance and then the cease and desist. Some are real, some are fake. How does that even work when it comes to degens on crypto Twitter? Can people really sue people, cease and desist because what they post? I had one friend, he was a founder of a project before, and then him and his co-founder, kind of like what you were saying, the coup and stuff like that. They had argument and then they got a cease and desist order. Yeah. How legit is that on crypto's Twitter?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think this is one that comes back and it crosses over with traditional areas of law, right? And the intersect between, a fast moving, and people want to say unregulated industry, which I think it's false, and that mixed with the traditional sort of, litigation, dispute resolution, with defamation, tortious interference, those types of claims. So if you really strip it back, let's start with the crypto Twitter side of things, right? In any dispute, you need to have an understanding and an inkling of who are you actually suing behind it, right? You actually have to understand, commence proceedings against an individual or a company.
Yeah, you don't even have the real name, right? You don't even.
Exactly. That's going to be quite difficult. I mean, there's probably ways around that where you can get disclosure.
Okay.
But if they haven't verified the account as well, very difficult to get understanding of who's behind it. I mean, if it's some DJ name there, right? And it'll be quite costly. There'll probably be a way, right? Whether it's disclosure efforts, IP addresses, some links towards it, or like a John Doe, you sue an anonymous person, but there's a link to it there.
Yeah.
There's going to be some issues in that first stage. It's going to be quite costly to find that information out too, because you need court orders for disclosures and that's probably the first difficulty there. The second one is, I would say, the cease and desist, right?
Yeah.
What is the process through? So cease and desist is just a letter saying, please stop, right? If a lawyer sends a cease and desist or a company sends a cease and desist, it's pre-litigation. I mean, it's not actually part of any court proceedings or anything. It's not issued by a court. Usually it's just a lawyer or company trying to posture a little bit saying, stop or else I'll do this, right? And I've seen it and it's probably a bit of a game, right? Posture up, try and flex your muscles a little bit, scare the other side into not doing it. And when I'm writing cease and desist, we'll go hard, right? And you threaten it's quite funny. You threaten that we'll hold you personally liable, we'll come after you, make your life difficult, it's going to be costly, it's going to take years in litigation, we'll seek, orders for costs and all this other stuff, right? So you try to describe it as worse it's going to be for them, so they stop, right? But there's actually nothing at that stage that actually compels them to stop, right? They can still go. It'll just form evidence as part of the litigation, which, next step is the litigation then, right? So court processes are going to be extremely expensive. We sort of mentioned earlier, the jurisdiction issue. Does the court even have power to hear this dispute against this individual, right? Where is this individual? So there's going to be issues there, right? Court processes usually a couple of years, will cost you a few $100,000, I would say $200,000 to $500,000 for any major legal disputes. There's risks. If you lose, you got to pay the other side's court costs as well and fees. So, I mean, there's immense difficulties with that process, and especially evidence to prove there's a breach of some area of law. So in this would be like breach of defamation or, tortious interference with businesses or breach of contract. So there'd be something there, right? Then the last point, which I think is important for any matter and litigation matter here, is recoverability. So like even if you win, right, and you win it and you get a judgment of, just say it's $1 million in this, right? Can you actually recover that money from that individual? Do they actually have the money there to satisfy any judgment? Yeah. And this is what people don't think about, right? Like everyone's so happy to go, let's sue this person, right? Let's spend the cost, we do it. And I think sometimes it's like ego and pride and reputation that they want to protect, but they can go through and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, get right to the end, get the judgment in their favor and go, Chin, okay, you need to pay up. And you go, sorry, mate, nothing, got nothing here. Then what? Like you just spent all
that money on lawyers and stuff like that.
You can't recover anything.
That's wild.
So like this is, I think, what some founders and business people, and when they're dealing with lawyers, there's always like a commercial reality and commercial practicality to this. Yeah. Like, does it actually make sense to go down this path?
Yeah.
Does it actually make sense to commence proceedings, spend the years and the money and the effort and the time to do it, where there's a risk of there being nothing at the end?
I think you just proved that, in the crypto tour we saw supposedly screenshots of Binance sending letters to cease and desist. How you describe it is like, those people don't even probably have any money. Like, why would Binance waste time on these people? Just funny.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Yeah, I always look at the law as like a bit of a game, right? Like there's a whole bunch of different factors that go into it. And it's like chess, right? So every move you make and every move the other side makes, you kind of have to think 3 steps ahead. And as cliche as that is, you have to do that in this industry, because even with this, like send a cease and desist, right? Okay. If we're looking at the moves right in front of us now, it's like you got to cease and desist, you have to respond or decide what to do. But if you actually think 3 or 4 steps ahead, does this actually make sense? Like, will they actually do anything here? Probably not. Like unless it's so severe, and they might do it just out of spite or to protect their reputation as well. There's going to be instances about that. But will they actually go on for years on it? Not sure. And the biggest thing with this is they have to also prove to the court how much loss they've incurred and the damages suffered. So, if someone's posting on crypto Twitter, right? This is the biggest thing here. How are they going to prove that you've suffered loss, and then how much loss? Right? You can't just go to the court and go, hey, this guy, posted a tweet or something, right? And now I've suffered $10 million worth of loss. Like, how are you going to prove that up? There has to be some sort of like evidence to back your claims. So these are all like the nuances and the little factors, which, for founders and for people who don't understand the legal system, of course it's going to be scary, right? Like you see it and you go, you're going to be on the hook for all of this, pay costs. They probably have big law firms representing them, so charging thousands an hour. But like the actual reality, like I think it's very different, very different.
Yeah. No, that's actually really interesting coming, I never had that discussion with actually someone who actually practices. Usually it's like crypto lawyers on crypto Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, oh my, but no, that is so interesting about the cease and desist. And, every day is a drama in crypto Twitter and all that.
Oh, it's to a certain extent, it's like engagement farming, right? Like,
that's another thing. Like
Twitter.
Crypto Twitter, they just shit posts all the time.
100%. Oh, I've seen this with like even lawyers on there, right? It's like, like you shit post to get engagement on it.
Right.
Which I think is one thing, right? And obviously, like I've got a Twitter, I don't post on it much. I should be posting more. But the other part of it is like, there is like the actual reality of practicing. There's like the work that we do, right? It's like, we can't be shit posting the whole time, because like we're there advising clients, we're at the coal face, we're actually doing stuff. We're building, whether it's the firm or our clients' businesses, we're advising. So shit posting takes you, it's good to farm engagement, but engagement farming doesn't help solve regulatory disputes or doesn't help their business, raise further capital or take it from like 0 to 100. So I think sort of play in that area, which is like, look, we'll just give you the no bullshit advice. Like this is what you need to know.
Yeah.
I think that's more valuable in the long run.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. It's wild. But also, one thing I was curious about yourself, right? Like, and if you could take me back, maybe even when you growing up, right?
Yeah.
Like, who were you before that? Like, your upbringing, like, did you always wanted to study law, or is it more like, Asian parents, like, you want to either doctor or lawyer? Like, how was your upbringing like?
That's so funny. Like, I feel like all Asian kids have very similar upbringing, right? Like it's, so I'm half Indian, half Chinese.
Oh, you're Chinese?
Yeah. So my mum's Malaysian Chinese and dad's Fiji Indian. So mum's actually in KL at the moment visiting her family, but all my cousins and aunties and uncles are over there on mum's side. So obviously being mixed, I was born and raised in Melbourne in Australia. Mum and dad moved over, I don't know, when, 30, 40 years ago or so. So I was born and raised in Melbourne, obviously to immigrant parents. And yeah, like, public schools, primary school, high school, played a lot of sports growing up, but always had that sort of pressure, right? Like Asian parents. So I think growing up, I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
Like, it's...
Do you really wanted to, or your parents?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good question.
They probably encouraged you to be a doctor, right?
I remember dad said to me when I was young, it's like, oh, look, if you become a doctor, I'll buy you a Mercedes, like a C-class Mercedes.
Okay.
And I think now it's like completely different, right? Like I've got other cars on it. But like, when you're middle class and you're sort of growing up, you kind of go, oh shit, like a Mercedes is such a nice car, right? Like we had like Holdens and Mazdas and Kias. So like, so I think, wanted to be a doctor growing up. High school I did, all of the subjects, biology, chemistry, maths methods, English. And then I also did like business management and legal studies.
Was this in college or in high school?
High school.
Oh,
high school.
I didn't know they even had that.
Yeah.
In Australia, it's different.
It's probably different subjects. So yeah, so I did legal studies and business management. I was really good at legal studies. So I think I was getting like A's, A pluses. It just clicked, right? I think for law, it's one of those things where if you think a certain way and you understand the intent behind why the law's structured a certain way or why it's there, it becomes very easy to understand. So, yeah, wanted to become a doctor, did, obviously those subjects, but also did legals and business on the side. And then came to year 12 and all my friends were sitting the UMAT. So it's like the entry exam into undergrad medicine. And I remember them study for it and I just went, I just can't be fucked. Like, I just can't be fucked doing it. Like, I just didn't want to do it. So
it's a very rigorous exam.
Yeah. There's a lot into it. And when you look at the percentage of people that actually get in the places, it just didn't make sense. Like I think, again, risk-based approach probably just wasn't for me. So yeah, I was really good at legal studies. And then, hate to admit it, but like Suits was on at the time, right? Like Suits. And I always thought like, cool, Harvey Specter lifestyle would be great, right? Like I would love to, be a partner of a law firm in New York, live that high life. Great, let's do it, right? So ended up spending more time on the legal side, doing really well there. And then I got into Deakin, like double degree law and international relations, but I also got a scholarship to Bond. So Bond University on the Gold Coast. So I got a scholarship there, 25th anniversary, 50% for leadership. I was like school captain, school vice captain, house captain, all that other stuff growing up. So got that scholarship and decided to, take it. And then just went to straight law, turned 18, so in November, had like a week or so back home, went to the US for a couple of weeks. Instead of schoolies, we have this, once you finish year 12, you go out and you have fun. So I went to the US to go traveling and visit family there. Came back and a week later, I was packed up my life and moved to the Gold Coast, just started fresh. And then, did a law degree at Bond. It's a fast track degree. It's usually 2 years, 8 months. And I finished it in just over 2 years. So like I fast tracked.
That's undergrad.
undergrad.
Okay.
So I fast-tracked the fast-track degree. Instead of like 4 subjects, I was doing like 7 or 8 subjects a semester.
Oh, wow.
Still finished with honors and got admitted, before I turned 21. So at the age of 20, I became an admitted lawyer in Australia, then got admitted in New Zealand and Fiji and the High Court. So
Wow.
before I turned 21, I was a admitted lawyer in 4 jurisdictions.
Then you're really like it's not stereotypical, like a Asian parent, Asian kid that parents probably compare to the kids to. Hey, how come you gotta be like that?
Yeah.
It seems like, I mean, it seems like you got a scholarship and all that and became a lawyer at like before 21.
Yeah. So it's quite crazy. I think like all my life, it's always like, you know, when I think Asian parents, right, you're always looking at like achievements, right? What's next and that. So that early stage, it was great. Like, you know, could go through uni, just push as hard as I could and see what I could achieve there.
Do you have any siblings?
I've got a younger brother.
Okay.
He actually works with us now. So he's heading up our ops. And he's done really well too. Like he just finished his MBA at Deakin. He was the CEO of a apparel company in Melbourne that was part of a larger conglomerate. And then we grew our firm to a size where I needed help on the business side. So like who best to be on board than your brother. And it's so good. Like, I mean, growing up, I think as most brothers, like you fight and stuff, but now I can definitely see he sort of balances out my way of thinking. So he'll act as that check and balance, right? So I might be thinking a certain way and he'll challenge it in a good way, but provide his point. And there's a lot of times where I defer to him and go, yeah, like you're right. There's other times where I go, no, this is the way. But younger brother on that, which has been good.
Okay, so he seems like he's in the law too, and
well, I think it's different. He's more business. Like he came from a business background, and management background. So, you know, in our firm, we have a clear delineation now between like the legal ops and business ops. We're a bit of a different type of firm too. Like we've raised external capital with our growth plan. We'll probably look at another capital raise soon. More building legal tech behind platforms, partnerships, and then growth plan to either like IPO or acquisition. So there's a business ops which helps on that front and the structures and the people, and then there's a legal ops which is like the day-to-day management of files and clients. So I think the benefit there is like we can actually say hand on heart, we know what founders are going through. Like we're doing it. We've actively raised capital. We're building a business. We've grown internationally. We've got the same pressures as what any other founder in this space would feel. And we can talk from a first-hand experience as to, you want to raise capital? Cool. This is what your pitch deck needs to look like. Your data room, these are the questions you're going to get from investors. This is how you approach the situations. Well, you want to expand. This is what you need to do with your structure, with your contracts, everything. And that first-hand experience is so different to, I guess, a traditional lawyer. And I guess even me before, right? You sit behind a desk, the client goes, we want to raise capital. Cool. Here are your documents. That's it. You actually don't know what's going on. You don't know the questions that a VC is going to ask. You don't know their thinking, their thesis. You don't know how to look at that, right? So that's where I think the strategic advisory that we provide to clients it's so different too, and hopefully valuable.
Right. So then you become a lawyer before 21.
Yep.
And then what happened after you graduated? You started working for a law firm in Australia, or?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did. And my journey's so different to, I think, a lot of lawyers too. This is I think coming up to 10 years of practice, right? So after I graduated, I was working for a mid-tier firm up in Brisbane. This was 2015, 2016. And that's where I sort of got a bit of a flavor into crypto. I was writing articles about how blockchain could revolutionize different industries.
Is this separate from what you were doing for work?
No, this is work. This is work.
So you were already like doing crypto stuff.
Yeah, in like 20-ish, right? It's very early days, but this 2015, 2016. And looking at how, blockchain could revolutionize industries. And there's more to tech at that point. It wasn't really tokens and crypto. It was more the underlying tech. What happened after that? I left that, worked for like a migration firm for a few months, extremely dodgy. I wouldn't practice migration ever again.
What's
like immigration law. People wanted to move to different countries and stuff. it was a bit of a weird detour, but you just see like, we had so many people trying to fake visas or provide false information because they want to move to Australia.
Especially around this time, this political climate. It's actually, seems like a very interesting.
The amount of, the best ones are, the partner visas, right?
Partner visas.
Yeah. So like,
like your wife and stuff like that.
Yeah, wife or girlfriend or fiance, and just the types of people that will come through. And it's like people trying to get out of like bad situations, right? And you go, this is not a real relationship. Like this person's obviously doing it to get a visa, right? So yeah, it just wasn't aligned with what I wanted to do. I then did business development for about a year. So left the law and was sort of headed up business development and client relations for Strata company. It was cool, like traveling around every week to different states, meeting with like C-level executives, bringing in work. And I think that's also why, for me, I think that helped a lot. Like that was, for law to really be successful, having your own firm, you need to be able to bring in work. That's one thing. So having a year to do that and just network was fantastic. Then got headhunted to go in-house for a financial institution. We managed $1 billion worth of funds on behalf of strata schemes, condominiums. Had a payments arm that did $2 billion a year in payments and a lending arm which did about $50 million a year in loans. So I was 2IC to the general counsel, in charge of legal risk and compliance. We had 2 financial services licenses and a credit license. So that was really like regulatory experience in financial services, all about compliance and licensing and commercial as well, corporate commercial. So the $1 billion, they were managing with another bank. So they weren't a bank themselves. They were like an interface, right? And they had their funds at a bank. And I actually pitched to the directors, like, why don't you guys become a bank? So you got $1 billion worth of funds, right? And you need money to lend out. In banking, you got a deposit you can lend out, generate an interest margin, and that runs the business. They didn't want to do so. Saw this really good opportunity. So ended up leaving and partnering with 2 guys from the UK who had built banks before in the past there. Atom, Civilized, Masthaven, there was HSBC. So we went on this, had a startup, building a digital bank. So, and that's where, this was 2018, 2019, around that time. And what we tried to build was like a crypto bank. So how do we how do we integrate crypto into the traditional financial services system, but actually build a bank where the deposits were underpinned by crypto assets, so you could offer high interest rates, use blockchain as payment rails as well. Build this ecosystem where you had merchants and retail all within this one ecosystem. And you could scan a QR code, pay them. It's just a back-end accounting ledger which shows the funds moving from one wallet to the other. And like we did well, I think, out of that. Like we got a financial services license. I was a responsible manager, managed the whole process. We had deals with Visa, MasterCard, all the back-end tech. Then started looking at further fundraising, and COVID hit. So it became extremely difficult to raise capital at that point in time. And ended up selling, or that got acquired by 2 investment firms out of Sydney. So it was a good result. I mean, like great for my first venture for it to be acquired. But I also think we were maybe a little bit early as well. 2018, 2019, to go to market with a product that really disrupted the way the financial industry works. I feel like we're just a little bit early. We're seeing that now though, like, these neobanks come up.
Yeah, there's a lot now.
There's a lot now. Which I think timing's probably better now, but we were just, probably a little bit too early there, which is fine. I think timing is everything.
Yeah.
So ended up selling that. Then I worked for a Queensland-based law firm, and I was head of crypto law for that firm. And they had a sister company, which was Australia's largest OTC desk. Oh. And I was chief compliance officer and legal counsel for them too. So I had a dual role. And was with them for a little bit. So obviously managed like the legal side for clients, but also advised and manage the compliance and legal for the OTC desk. And the benefit there is like, I was part of the operations, right, of an OTC desk of a crypto company. So I knew like everything of what was going on. We needed fire blocks, chain analysis for compliance management. We need all our liquidity providers with like, B2C2, Cumberland, DWF, others, right, on that. I think FTX at that time, your flows, your onboarding, offboarding, all the contracts behind it, risk management, third-party risk. And I think that's when I was like advising them. I left before FTX occurred, but doing the risk analysis on who our counterparties are. And we flagged FTX on it as well. But having that first-hand experience of working in an actual crypto business at a C-level position helps now because I can advise clients and say, I've done it, right? You want to do an OTC desk, you want to do remittance. I've done it. I know what the licenses are. I know like what contracts you need to have in place. I know like implementation of, third parties. Can obviously advise on the legal side, which is my background, but that commercial reality of like, I'll go toe to toe with any other lawyer and I can tell you things that they won't know because they haven't actually worked in a business
in that industry and stuff. So then after like part of that law firm, right? COVID hits and all that. Is that when you started this, what you do now?
So I started Gosai Law in August of 2022.
Okay.
So it's been 3 and a bit years now. And it really stemmed from, I had a really good client, really big client of ours, very well known in the industry. They came to me when I was at this other firm, my old firm, and said, hey, can we go on like a retainer-based service, right? Because we just want fixed monthly costs and it's easier for us. And I took that to the partners at the time and they said, no, we make more money billing per hour than we do on retainer. And I was like, this is kind of shit. Like, you got a client, a really good client, prominent, leading the way in this industry that says, this would work better for us and commercially we can make it work. And the partners at the law firm was like, no, we don't really care about the client. Right? It's really just about how much money can we make.
Yeah.
So that really struck a nerve with me to go, I think this industry and legal practice needs to be disrupted because without clients, you don't have a business. And why not be at the coalface and meeting the clients where they are? If they grow, you grow with them. So yeah, I think that sort of started a fire underneath and obviously very entrepreneurial with some of the businesses I've started beforehand. And sort of made a decision. It's like, okay, pull the trigger, let's do it. And started, August of 2022.
And did you start with, how many people did you start with?
Just me.
Oh, wow.
Just me. It's interesting. I say to my team, and we do like a state of the nation, I give them an update as well of what's going on. But one of the slides I had in there was like from dining room table to international offices. Because when I started, I was working from home from my dining room, right? Dining room table. And it's so humbling and I'm a bit sort of taken aback by it at times to go, I started there on the Gold Coast dining room table by myself to now we have, almost 20 staff across the world.
Wow.
We've got offices in, Australia, Middle East, UK, Europe, US, fantastic caliber of individuals on our team from like, professors at universities, ex-SEC examiners, ASIC, regulated in Australia, top tier New York and international firms. We've got ex-financial crimes prosecutors, award-winning lawyers, like people have worked on major deals and now they've sort of entrusted me and the firm. It's crazy to see that development in such a short time. And that's really probably been the last 12 months or so, that hyper growth. This time last year, we had about, I think, 3 people on the team. We're pushing 20. It's it's a bit crazy. It's a bit of a wild journey, I think.
Yeah. Was it difficult to start in the beginning?
Yes and no. I think there's a lot to learn when you're starting, as we're starting any business. But the important thing is to mitigate risk as much as possible. So I took that decision. Again, this is where I operate, whether it's in the law or just personally. It's like, I've got a decision, which is like start the law firm and have a full look at, financial situation. I had a mortgage at the time. I was dating someone who's brilliant, but like I didn't have any kids or any other expenses then. So what were my expenditures? What can I do to mitigate this risk? So if all of this fails, so what I do, I actually refinanced my house before I started. I pulled out about 150,000 equity, right? And had to work out what my expenses would be, whether like mortgage repayments, living expenses, etc., on there, and worst case scenario on, and to go, okay, I could probably run this by myself for a couple of years if I made zero. At the same time, it's like, how do I mitigate this risk? Obviously, like the clients that I had, people that, friends in the industry pitching for work, and floated with them like, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing. What do you think? And they're like, yeah, we'll back you. Right? So from day one, pretty much had clients coming in that more than replaced whatever my salary was at the old place as well. So is that risk mitigation, right?
Would you advise people, because maybe a lot of people in the audience maybe are trying to start something, I want to be an entrepreneur. Like, do you think it's a good idea to, obviously I feel like it is, but like to have something set aside, if you make $0, you still can survive. Or if you have an idea, just go for it. And
yeah, I would say it's important to maybe have a safety net, right? Or at least think about how you're going to approach the situation when you're starting a business. Because whilst everyone goes into business with the best of intentions and the thought we're going to make millions, right? I think the stats it's ridiculous. I don't know if it's like 90% of businesses fail in the first 3 years. Something, I don't actually have the numbers, but it's quite high. So you actually have to go in with probably more of a thought process that this will probably fail, right? Or it's going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy. Like people on social media that post, we make millions, look at how much.
How to make $1 million in 30 days.
Yeah. And the easiest way is sell a course on how to make $1 million in 30 days. But what I always find with those people, and they post like Shopify stores and stuff, that's your revenue. What's your cost of sale as well? So I mean, like if you made $1 million in revenue, but your cost of sale, you sold a product which you bought for $999, you only made $1 in that, right? Profit. So revenue is one thing, right? Your expenses, your operating costs, living, this business side, personal side as well is going to be important to take into account. So what a safety net does, and at least a bucket, which a rainy day fund does for you, is like it allows you to at least take the pressure off for a period of time. And you give yourself really just like 3 months, 6 months, 12 months to go, I need to reach these targets within this period of time for this business to be viable. I've seen so many founders as well that are so consumed with the product or service that they're going to offer that they just keep investing in, right? And I think one of the biggest points for any business that a lot of people don't think about is client acquisition, or whether this actually solves a need for a client. Is there an actual target market here that is available and willing to spend the money to purchase your product or service, to the exclusion of all the competitors? And that's where I think a lot of founders and people with business ideas come unstuck, is because they think personally they have the best idea and they're going to put all the money, all the time and effort into it. But can they actually make a business out of this? Can they actually sell the product or service? Can they generate revenue? If they can, and they've done that research, then look, hopefully you don't use the rainy day fund and you run with it and it makes money. But if you can't, then you don't want to be out on the street as well.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in such a dire financial position that puts strain on, your mental health, your well-being, your personal relationships, friends, family, partners. I think there's always a human side to business and legal practice that not many people talk about as well. So it's important to keep that in mind. So, long-winded way, important to have, but I think it's one facet of a whole bunch of different factors that come into it. Like whether personally, emotionally, are you even the right headspace to do this? Are you sure, and do you understand the the commercial pressures? Do you understand like the business pressures, revenue, tax, marketing, accounting, legals, everything? All of those, I think for business to be successful, all of those factors need to line up because you could have, the money sitting there, no clients issues, right? You could have the money sitting there, clients, but mentally you're just not in the right space. Like whether it's your personal relationships, there's issues there. So then it's going to fail, right? Because all your mind and attention is going to be on like the family issues and the business will take a suffer. So I think for business to really be successful, all of these factors need to line up.
Yeah. Seems like a lot.
It's a lot.
Sometimes some people might not have that luxury, but
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
But I think that's a really, like even for me, like starting this podcast, starting this thing and stuff, like thinking about, okay, how much runway do I have before and stuff like that. No, that's really good. And as we're closing out this podcast here, and maybe again, someone in the audience wants to maybe become a lawyer, right? Maybe they're in uni right now, they're in high school thinking, oh, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
What advice would you have for someone like that?
I mean, the funny answer would be like, don't. Right? Don't. I think you have to really love the law and you have to really love clients and problem solving. And I'm saying this broadly because the law is not as glamorous as what you see on TV. And I'm putting a bit of like a reality check and filter to it. Even my life, right? My life in the law is not normal. Being able to fly around, meet with clients, go to conferences and have the clients that I have and deal with the issues that I deal with. That's not normal in normal legal practice. Most of the time, if you're a junior lawyer, and I experienced this early on in my career, you're sitting behind a desk, work gets pushed from above down, you're just doing it, sending it back. So you have to really love the grind. I think there's a lot of sacrifices in the law too. It's not a 9 to 5. You're at the behest of the clients. And you have a lot of responsibility because the advice that you give ultimately makes or breaks their business. So you have to be okay with the pressure of doing so. But what I would say is the benefit of being in the law, and I think what I love about it, and what I think if you're considering being a lawyer, you should think about is you're such an integral part of your client's business or personal life or commercial life too. The advice that you give and their trust in you allows you to essentially deliver, like change their lives, right? Change their lives, change their employees' lives, change stakeholders' lives on there too. So there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. I think it's actually a great industry to be in because you're exposed to so many things that normal people wouldn't be exposed to. Normal business people, accountants. But I think it's not for the faint of heart. If you want to do really well, and you want to challenge and want to push the boundaries, want to live that sort of like Harvey Specter lifestyle, which, we joke about it, but to a certain extent, it is somewhat achievable. It changed up a little bit, but you have to be so skilled in so many different ways, right?
Yeah. What kind of skills would you advise or things, skills that would make a good lawyer? Like you mentioned problem solving, which I think totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Learning how to solve problems and stuff.
I think that's a great question. So the skills that I think makes a good lawyer is really twofold, and I would separate it. When you say a good lawyer, what do you mean by a good lawyer? Someone that's good at just sitting behind a desk, reading the black letter of the law and advising. They're great lawyers, right? There's that type of lawyer. There's another type of lawyer which provides commercial acumen and business sense and is more of a strategic legal and commercial advisor. And I think that's a very different type of lawyer. So for the former, if you're a black letter lawyer, what skills? I mean, you've got to be very studious. You've got to be very intelligent. You need to be able to comprehend vast amount of information and apply it and be very analytical. If it's the latter, where it's commercial based and more advisory, you have to be great at communication. You have to be able to build rapport with clients. You have to understand the law. And the law is important to a certain extent. Probably the law is important in terms of guiding on how the commercial realities of a particular situation will work. But you've got to build that rapport. And I think to make a really good lawyer in this space, you actually have to have the experience of doing it yourself, right? And I think nothing beats the actual first-hand experience, because even with lawyers, and I think a lot of lawyers haven't done, right? Like they're lawyers, they just worked it. But I've seen with the advice that I give and how I interact with clients, I just say, I've done it before, right? Like I know what you're going through because I've done it. I know what you're feeling with the commercial pressures. I understand, like, you raise capital. I understand the questions you're getting. I understand the growth, you have suppliers, employees, staff, business, tax, legal pressures. I get it because I've done it. So I can tell you this is bad or this is fine. Like, it's not a big deal, right? If we tweak these little things, if we do X, Y, and Z, you'll be fine, right? And that's coming from a place of legal, because I understand the legal frameworks, but also the experience of doing it. So I think that is what makes a really good lawyer. And it actually goes back to your previous question. If someone wants to be a lawyer, what I'd also say is just do shit. Like, start a side business, try something, right? Especially if you want to be a corporate commercial lawyer. Try build a product, try, start a Shopify store, deal with suppliers and contracts, T's and C's. Try get investment, right? Actually be there so you can relate with clients, so you actually understand what they're going through. So when you're giving advice, it's not in isolation. It's not just, I read this in a textbook, this is what the applicability is going to be. It's
experience.
Yeah. I think that's one, the advice I would give to people wanting to study law, if they actually want to be a really good lawyer, in my books. And two, what actually makes a good lawyer too.
Yeah, depending on the role even, right,
Yeah.
of being a lawyer. And I like how you said, like, even from your journey, being well-rounded. Again, it depends on what kind of law you want to do, but like, yeah, like if you want to do corporate law, like you should, like you said, start a business, see the highs and lows, because you can relate to, I'm guessing, your future clients and all that, right?
Yeah, if you want to do crypto law, right, start using crypto products, right? Like, download a decentralized wallet, fund it, whether it's on a centralized exchange, right? Fund it that way. Transfer, use different change, bridges, swaps, stake it on various protocols, right? Invest in like a launch pad. Start doing things that clients are building. Start using their products, right? Because it helps long term. You can say, oh, you have that conversation, they're trying to brief you on something. It's like, okay, we have a swap feature, we have a bridge feature. Like, okay, cool. Does it work on this? Like, what are you bridging to and from? What's your back-end tech systems on it? You can start to understand the risk. Is this, like, who's issuing that smart contract? That becomes a third-party risk. You're using a bridge or a swap feature. It's not you, it's someone else doing it. Okay, now we have legal risk on that third party. What if they, do something which creates loss, right? You start to build a stronger rapport and relationship with clients, and they then have confidence that you know what you're talking about. And it's not like they have to educate you in this space. You are part of the space, you understand, and you're advising with the context of what's going on too.
Yeah. No, that seems like a lot, but also, always good advice from what you've been doing. And, lastly, I always ask my guests this, but what's next for you? What are you excited about this upcoming year and stuff?
It's a great question. I think towards the end of last year, I burnt out a little bit because it was crazy, right? We went from 3 to nearly 20, one office in Australia to, I think, like 6 or 7 offices now around the world, and building a firm where a project can come to us and get advice from all the major jurisdictions, which I think was what's missing in the space. Had a bit of a break over Christmas and New Year and time to reset. So this year, like, super excited because we have so much planned for the firm. And it's really taking it from, we went from a single jurisdiction to multi-jurisdictional firm. I think this year what we're looking at releasing, and hopefully soon, is a new legal compliance platform where projects and clients can actually manage their legals all in a centralized repository, because it's so fractionalized at the moment and people don't actually understand what's happening. So we'll probably look to release this platform in the next few months. We'll probably go to market to do another fundraising round as well. Start putting the parameters in place for us for whether it's an IPO, strategic acquisition, invest in the growth of the various offices as well. And I think just being there for clients, right? Like our proposition's so different. There's no other firm, a law firm or crypto law firm out there that has this multi-jurisdictional presence. For a founder, ordinarily they would deal with, whether it's a US lawyer or UK lawyer, European, Asian lawyer. And those lawyers are barred in owning that jurisdiction. So you go to a US lawyer, you can only get advice in the US. If you want to expand overseas, you have to go find a law firm there to do it. We know crypto's inherently global. You launch a product, anyone, anywhere can access it. So we're building something where a founder can just come to us and go, hey, we need legal help. Cool. You have the benefit of myself and a team around the world that will have your back and will support you globally in your global expansion from a startup stage as well. Okay, you want to launch a product, you've got staff in the US, great. We've got US lawyers there. You've got staff in the UK, great. Europe, fantastic. You want licenses, where you're releasing your products, all these major jurisdictions. We can handle that under one roof. So you don't have to then manage 5 or 6 different relationships with lawyers. You just deal with us. And the tech platform there will be super helpful with for them understanding what their structures look like, the documents, have a repository, request legal work. So that's what I'm excited about for this year. I think there's so much opportunity to disrupt the way legal practice is running, I think globally. There's a massive sector and massive underserved markets with startup founders, early stage emerging tech businesses, whether it's crypto, AI, software, blockchain, Web3. And there's no one really attacking this space. So I think that's going to be our goal, and that's what I'm excited about for this year. It's just getting after it, right?
Yeah.
And it's being part of this ecosystem that's developing so rapidly, and actually helping our clients grow, actually being with them on that journey too. Because one thing I've found, and one thing I actually love about legal practice, is a lot of my clients have become friends. A lot of friends become clients. So when we go to conferences, when I go out for dinners and meetings and stuff, it's like there's actually this level of care that's there. Like we actually give a shit about each other, which is nice, right? And I can support them in their business, and if they're doing well, I'm extremely happy because then I've done my job right. Vice versa, like if we're doing well as a firm, we can just grow, expand, put more people on, better expertise to serve their business, and it's a win-win long term as well. So again, you're probably getting from this discussion, we're not a traditional law firm, right? It's like we're doing things so differently, trying to meet the clients where they are, trying to be a part of the client's journey long term, that it's refreshing to do something that's different. And I think that's what's needed in the space, both from the crypto side and both from the legal side too.
Yeah, amazing. Well, good luck with everything.
Thanks,
definitely. Man. I know it's a wild world there, and yeah, thanks for being here.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, man.